you musky, miserable, growing slightly obese man who probably only has their anime waifu left to comfort them. You're starting to realize that if you continue to work your job and just follow the path that you're on, you're going to keep working the job for the rest of your life and only finally reach financial freedom at like 65 years old. But that's not what you want, because by the time you're 65-year-old, you're only going to be more obese from stuffing your face because you're so miserable to try to sweeten up your bitter life, and then still only have your anime waifu left, probably now on the verge of getting a heart attack with diabetes on Ozempic. You don't want that, which is why you're desperate enough to watch this sketchy looking Chinese man here who happened to be able to leave his job in just over 2 years at 24, make 103K solo, all while having a six-pack, starting from pretty much $0 3 years ago. But you're probably skeptical thinking, God damn, this sketchy looking Chinese man is probably going to tell me some secret day trading tactic that he uses, some AI agency or some super dropshipping business model in order to make millions and millions of dollars. Then sell me some $1,000 course or one-on-one coaching for $500 an hour to get the juicy secrets to finally make millions of dollars. But you know, after you listen to this video, you have to buy the course or buy the coaching. Well, I have none of that to buy, and I also don't have any tactics. I don't have no business model to give you, and I also don't have any agency models to give you. But the thing that I do have is probably the most important thing. It is the thinking that I use to actually get out of this job at 24, make the 103K, get a six-pack, everything that I do to what is considered financial freedom in my eyes. So it works for any business, it works for any career, it works for investing as well. So practically any skill that you want to dedicate yourself to, this thinking will work to get you to it, to your version of financial freedom, whatever that may be, at your 20s, not your 60s when you're already half dead. But yes, you will fail, you will lose money, and you will probably have to put in somewhere between 2 to 5 years like I did. But you're probably wondering right now, oh, what if I fail? If I lose money, I'm fucked for the rest of my life. Well, you don't have to worry about it right now because you're probably broke. You're probably working your miserable job. If you fail at something, if you choose the wrong path, you waste your time, you're just going to be in the same miserable situation that you're already on, basically at zero. And at the same time, though, if you fail, it doesn't matter. Your anime waifu is very loyal. She'll stay with you this entire time. So there's nothing to worry about. You have nothing to lose. But this is the topic of the entire video on how to get over those failures and turn them into success. So if this was convincing enough to you, your anti-scam sensors are disarmed, then listen up, because this is how I got financial freedom and how you can too in your 20s, not 60s. So the first reason is to seek failure, not success. So what I mean by this is you probably have some goal, some idea of what your financial freedom is. It could be any business, it could be any career, it could be any type of investing. It really doesn't matter. Whatever you enjoy and also can make money is your version of financial freedom, which is probably something very far out from where you are right now. You're probably working a job, probably have like close to $0 or maybe a couple $1,000. And it would take however long it's going to take and however many skills you have to learn in order to reach whatever financial freedom it is. And most people think, okay, that means I just have to craft the plan. I have to craft the steps. That is a direct route to my version of financial freedom. So I just got to take the right steps along the way, walk the exact right path, the direct path to my financial freedom. And that's how I'm going to get there the fastest. This is actually the wrong route. Trying to just take the direct route is usually the wrong route, because the thing here is, if you think about this map of financial freedom, there's many other paths that you could go down. And if you go down, like, let's say the right path for a little while, whatever you think is the right path, the direct path, you could shoot off and go into another path, of course. But another way to think about this is if your financial freedom, it is, of course, a challenging thing to do. So it's sort of like, instead of just a flat map where you're walking around, learning skills, taking experiences, and then you finally reach your financial freedom, it's more like you're climbing a mountain, right? So what if the direct path here, this upward, more challenging things that you have to do in order to reach whatever financial freedom that you have, you are not ready for it yet. You're not skilled enough. You just don't know enough, or maybe you don't have enough money, like you're blocked by the amount of capital, which makes it so you're not able to buy a certain software, a certain equipment that you actually need to run the business or get into the career or whatever it is that you want to do, which means you actually can't take the direct path. You have to take some sort of offshoot. So maybe if you're wanted to create a McDonald's, for example, but this is a pretty big capital investment in terms of getting the real estate, maybe you have to instead work for a McDonald's for a couple of years, which is, of course, it's an offshoot, but then you learn from the manager, maybe you become a manager at the location, and eventually that gives you enough experience in the first place to run the McDonald's correctly, and also money at the same time, which then you could get back into the direct path of actually getting your own franchise, starting your own McDonald's store. Or if you're in an even worse situation, Like you're genuinely at $0 right now and you're really desperate for money. So these other paths, completely different paths to financial freedom, which could be like drop shipping or day trading, or honestly, for a lot of people, it's like coding and AI. You could be very enticed by those things and really want to do it. And it's always in the back of your mind trying to basically pull you away from whatever financial freedom that you think you believe in, but you just haven't got results. So all these sort of shiny objects pull you away. It might actually be necessary for you to just go and try the thing. Go and try the drop shipping, go and try the AI agency, go and try the coding. And you'll realize that, okay, this is not for you, or honestly, maybe it'll be successful for you and that'll turn into your financial freedom. But a lot of times you realize like, oh shit, you're just chasing money. You're going to be wasting like probably months, maybe even years on these paths. But that was a learning experience that was required for you to finally realize that, okay, this is the wrong path. I need to correct and get back on this sort of true original path. But then again, this is the ideal path, not the right path for you. The right path for you is the one that makes you realize that the true path is the right path. Going down the complete wrong direction, offshooting at times, or having to work a job to learn certain skills, or just make money in order to get enough capital to overcome a financial requirement for your version of financial freedom. Those are all correct paths as well for you. So the only path for you is the one that works for you. And that could look very different from the ideal path. So the action that you should take for this problem, again, is seek failure and not success. Literally just do things and you'll realize all the different paths that are wrong, which will set you back onto the ideal path. And another way you can think about this, the action that you need to take here, is just walk. Literally just walk. You do whatever you think is right, have conviction on it, and this will get you ready for the right direction, for the ideal direction to your financial freedom. You'll, of course, accumulate your skills, you'll accumulate your experiences, you'll accumulate money along the way. Maybe you accumulate losses, but these losses are lessons, kind of like how I lost 83K trying to day trade. I lost probably 3 to 4 years trying to do drop shipping and other type of business models to finally lead to this point where I can make my 103K. Although I did mention that all you have to do is keep walking and eventually you reach financial freedom. But it is 100% true. You can go in the wrong direction and you can keep going in the wrong direction and you can stay going in the wrong direction until you're 65 obese and on Ozempic with only your anime waifu left. Maybe your anime waifu won't even be willing to stay with you anymore because you're in such a miserable state. Because you can 100% stay on the wrong path if you're really fucked up. And you really only stay on the wrong path. You only are able to stay on the wrong path is because you take advice from other people. So the second reason why I was able to get financial freedom early is because I don't take millionaire advice. In fact, I really don't take anyone's advice to inform what I am looking for. And I have a very, very, very strong filter on who I actually listen to, on how do I actually, navigate the business world or the career world or whatever goal that I'm going towards at the time. And this is what you should have too, so you don't get led astray on your financial freedom, your path to financial freedom. So the problem that most people run into, which gets them stuck at 65 and traumatized for life and never to go towards financial freedom again, is if, they're walking along their path of financial freedom, they're all jolly and stuff, all innocent boy, just started. And then they get baited by a popsicle from a stranger on the side of the street. And little do they know, they get a different kind of popsicle in places that are not meant for popsicles. And that's it, pretty much over for life, unless they can recover. So what does this really mean? So of course you still have your goal to financial freedom. I just want to make it green this time. And you have where you are right now. And let's say this is kind of what the ideal path looks like for you. And of course, your actual path to get to financial freedom may look like something like this, but that doesn't matter at this point. So either way, you start walking your path, you take the first step. And just for example's sake, let's just stick with the McDonald's example. Your goal is make McDonald's. So you take your first step and you start working a McDonald's job. You're honestly still kind of miserable in your McDonald's job. You're sure you're learning how to run the thing, but let's say you're working the cashier. It's kind of miserable still, or you're working like flipping burgers, still kind of miserable because some of the things that you're doing, although you can watch people and learn from different things and see how the business operates, you still have to do like the miserable burger flipping, and that itself doesn't teach you anything. So it doesn't really make you any progress, which can be frustrating. So you start watching videos online of like some 12-year-old making millions of dollars doing AI agencies, or you watch videos of how to do like sneaker flipping or day trading. And these all things that are completely different versions of financial freedom. They work for other people, but they're not what you really want. Although you get blinded by the money. You're like, oh, fucking millions. That's what I want. If I made the millions, I could just start making McDonald's. So maybe I'll just do one of these first and then go do my McDonald's. You get blinded by the money, which is not what you really need. What you really needed is the skills to climb this ideal path, not the money that comes from any business tactic, any productivity trick, any day trading investment strategy. None of that is anything. So if anybody is telling you how to just simply make money from any of those things, like some super productivity trick, some business model, the best career, those are all ideal paths for other people. If you have decided on your ideal path already, your version of financial freedom, all of these things are just noise. All of these things here are basically just from pedos leading you astray with their popsicles, waving their, money, millions of dollars, money popsicles in front of you. And eventually they're going to fuck you over with their popsicles in the form of courses or coaching. And you'll realize at the end, it's no return for you because you don't want to do it. It makes you miserable. Therefore, you don't make money. Therefore, you end up just going right back to your original idea and you had wasted time. Again, it's not necessarily a wrong thing. If that failure was needed for you to realize the true path that you want to walk again. But being wary of pedos, again, if you don't want to get fucked in the first place, is the best idea. Because there's two ways that you can actually get back to the ideal path. It is one, like this. You experience it yourself and you realize that it is wrong. You realize all the failures, therefore you realize the better path. Or you just watch some YouTube videos and you get the thinking behind like, oh shit, other people said this is fucked up and it's probably not a good idea to do. Therefore, I'm going to ignore it. If you can think through it before you actually do it and realize that it's wrong, that's probably the better option. And this is what I'm telling you to do here, which is why the action that I have is learn to differentiate pedos from wise men along your path. The wise men, instead of leading you astray with money, they'll tell you how to walk your particular path better. This is like the thinking behind, how do you actually acquire skills? How do you actually stack up your money and spend your money in order to accelerate you on this path? How do you actually do the specific skill that you're doing? Like a wise man for the McDonald's example is somebody that already owns a McDonald's, somebody that has built a different franchise already, so knows the specifics on, what do you need to spend to? How do you actually do the paperwork needed, say? How do you actually hire people? How do you source all the different resources that you need, or get the equipment, or buy the real estate, or find the best location? Those are wise men. People that have done it, people that are doing it with you, people that give you the general principles that you can apply to any path. And that keeps you from wasting your time and also allows you to move faster. But thinking alone, there's obviously tons of people on the internet, they're going to be like, oh yeah, just follow your passion. And some of those people are very successful people. So it can seem like they're wise men because, that's just a general term, right? Follow your passion and you're going to be successful. But you do have to be realistic, which is another reason. Because if you're not realistic, you're going to end up like a travel influencer. They're going to end up traveling a bunch of places, having tons of fun. And then like 2 years later, like, oh shit, I actually need money. So that makes them get a job again and then retire at 65, obese and miserable. So that is why you actually do have to be realistic. And is the third reason why that I am actually financially free. So the essence of the problem of these like basically unrealistic people, like, oh yeah, just chase your passions or whatever, anything like that, is they're basically just walking a path because that is what they want to do. And they refuse to do anything else that takes away from the walking, because like, oh yeah, I want to walk all day, so I'm not going to eat, or I'm not going to sleep. I'm just gonna full on walk. But the thing is, dying costs more time than just simply going to eat or going to sleep or doing the other thing that you were needed to do in order to keep doing the business. So the things that you need to do on your path of financial freedom are two things. And let me just draw this again. So this is what it looks like. And say this path is 2 to 5 years. Within the 2 to 5 years, you literally only need to do two things. First of all, you need money. And second of all, you need to live somewhat enjoyably. And that allows you to do two things. So the money itself, it's just working your job, whatever you were required to do to make money. And that allows you to buy the food that you need, pay the rent that is required for you to get the food and shelter, the very basic needs. And then you need to not die, which means sacrificing your sleep is not a good idea. Sacrificing your health by eating shitty food to make yourself feel better is not a good idea. Eat the best, sleep the best, and exercise as well. Although it takes time away. Let's like, oh, I could be grinding away. I could be grinding 16 hours a day. I could be grinding through my sleep, wake up at 4 a.m. I don't need to exercise because that's time taken away from things that I could be learning, things that I could be doing, money that I could be making. Sure, that takes time away. Yes, it does take time away. But if it makes you miserable or it makes you get like some chronic disease, which puts you out of commission for years and years and years, like halfway into your financial freedom, first of all, you're probably going to lose all your skills, or you could die, which of course prevents you from getting financial freedom ever. So actually, the most optimal time-saving thing to do is simply do all the things that takes time, but is good for you, is supportive on your tasks. So eat well, sleep well, maybe occasionally do something fun, like go on a vacation that relaxes, takes you away, allows your brain to sort of refresh, exercise to keep you physically well, and again, being really realistic by sticking to your job if you need money. Or at the very least, if you want to do the risky route, and I sort of did the risky route, is save enough money for at least 5 years, to cover all your living expenses generously. Then you can just full on try and learn for your financial freedom and make it work. And another way to think about it is if you think about the whole world, it's very big and you're like a very small speck on the world. If you had the whole world working against you, you are pushing against this whole world, you're obviously going to lose, right? You're going to get fucked over, you're going to be broke, you're going to have to be miserable working for money again. Versus if you work with reality, you're having this whole world work with you, support you on the whole thing. And that's obviously a much better situation if you ask me. And at this point, you might be wondering, well, oh shit, I don't actually have that financial freedom goal. And if I don't have the goal, well, there's nothing to go towards. There's nothing to fail on. Therefore, I never find success. I'm just stuck here always, nothing to work on, not sure what to do, confused. If that is the case, there's two things you can do. You can check out the top link in the description. It's a 3-minute diagnostic, which I will respond back to you completely for free and help you find that thing or overcome any obstacle that you may be on if you do have a goal that you already have in mind. Second thing that you can do if you want help finding that goal right now and not have to wait for me to reply is watch this video right here.